Alright, 6th grade, so it's time for coloring. So we went over this in the last video on how to draw these. Remember, you should have 4 drawings. They're still connected all together. Magnify, simplify, explode, and fragment. At this point, I actually want you to cut them apart. And the reason why I want you to do that is sometimes it's really difficult for even me or Miss Hollis to stay inside of a line, especially if we don't have it drawn. So I'm just cutting them apart straight as I can. And then I'm cutting this one apart as well. Okay, so you're going to pick one of these to start with. And I'm actually going to start with my Magnify. And we're going to work on coloring these in with oil pastels. So they're like creamy crayons, basically. I'm actually going to zoom in so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to use oil pastels when we're coloring these in. So again, like I was saying, they're pretty much creamy crayons. But when we color them in, we're actually going to use complementary colors. So if I set this up like it's a color wheel, so putting these like this, that there, making them so like primary colors, secondary colors. And of course I made it too far so you guys can't see. Okay. Primary, secondary, color wheel. Here we go. Okay. So the colors that are across from each other on this color wheel are the ones that go together. So I know this is really a lame example of a color wheel. Here we go. There we go. I figured it out. Alright, so the ones that are across from each other are complementary colors. So orange and blue are complementary. Purple and yellow are complementary. And red and green. So this is how they all get set up. So what this means is every time you want to make yellow darker, you use purple. Every time you want to make the blue darker, you use orange. Every time you want to make orange darker, you use blue. So same with red and green. So if you have an object that's mainly purple, or you're going to mainly color purple, you're going to wind up using complementary color. Okay, so I'm actually going to color in this clock face, and since it's mostly purple, I'm going to use it as my complementary color. So what's going to happen is I'm going to start to color this in. Okay, I'm coloring. I'm going to color in the majority of it. Notice I'm coloring pretty lightly. You can still see the background really well. I definitely have not taken my time yet, because I'm going to layer a lot of colors on top of here for the final product. So coloring, okay. So I did definitely have some blue in my watch, so I can lightly put that in. And had some other spots in here, over there. Okay, so now I want to put some highlights on it. So because my clock face is shiny. So I can actually come back and I can color on top of this, showing how shiny this is. And maybe I want to bring that highlight down here. Kind of blend it all together. Okay, so showing the sign. Wow, showing the sign of how shiny it is. Okay, and then if I wanted to make these darker, I could actually go back and go over them, really filling in those white spots. At the end of this, I should not be able to see any white spots, so don't even try to pull it over on me. Be like, oh, it didn't cover all the way, or whatever you want to say to me. Not gonna work. Okay, I'm trying to color this in pretty quickly so that you guys don't get bored, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can keep going. Again, white is a great color to use to just kind of blend colors together and also to show those highlights. Very important. Shadows are also important. So when you're adding your shadows, remember, complementary color of purple is yellow. So if I bring in yellow, I can actually make some areas darker. And bring it over here. Make that darker over there. We want this to be darker over here. And then this whole side, maybe. Okay. So I have some multiple colors that I'm bringing in. And then the last thing I want to show you is, since the majority of my watch is gray, I'm coloring in this area. I'm going to color in 2 of these. So I'm coloring it in pretty quickly. Okay. And here, since the main color is gray, I can actually use black. Okay, so I'm going to make one of these have a shadow. I'm going to look at which one has a shadow. So it's like under here. Notice I'm not going to color it super dark or heavy. I'm going to be really light about it. And then I can actually take that gray again and go back over that black and kind of blend it out. So it's just like when we're painting and we blend two colors together by going back over it. Going back over it. Delightful. Maybe there's a shadow under here. I'm going to go back over with that gray, blend it all together so it's not just a stark line. And then finally you're going to put in your highlights. Everything needs a shadow. It's three-dimensional. Everything needs a highlight. Remember, highlights are opposite of the shadow. Wherever your highlight is, your shadow is going to be exactly the opposite direction. If I made the highlight too big, again, you can just take that main color and push it back in there and make it a little bit smaller. Alright, so that's your brief rundown on how to do this, but everything needs a highlight, shadow, and base color. Use your complementary colors. The only time you use black is if it's gray. Have any other questions? Let me know.